The world of basketball is no stranger to intense rivalries and passionate emotions. Still, when a rising star like Caitlin Clark, known for her sharpshooting and record-breaking performances, is named to the All-WNBA First Team and crowned Rookie of the Year, it can shake up the entire landscape of the sport. Chennedy Carter, a young WNBA player known for her fiery personality and competitive edge, made headlines for all the wrong reasons when she reacted in a rather explosive manner to Clark's achievements. This article will dive deep into the background of both players, the significance of the accolades, and the fallout from Carter's tantrum.
By the way, speaking of basketball, Caitlin Clark now has the rookie record. The history of the WNBA as
Caitlin Clark's journey from a standout high school player to one of the most talked about rookies in WNBA history has been nothing short of spectacular. Born in Des Moines, Iowa, Clark has been breaking records and turning heads from an early age. Known for her incredible shooting range, vision on the court, and ability to control the pace of the game, she quickly became a top recruit for the University of Iowa.
Clark working on Van Loo. Oh, Clark, pretty step back, hits a three.
At Iowa, Clark's performances were consistently remarkable. During her college career, she racked up accolades such as the Nancy Lieberman Award for the nation's best point guard and multiple All-American honors. She was lauded not only for her scoring ability, but also for her leadership and basketball IQ, often leading her team to victory with her clutch performances.
Lineup I'm talking about with Caitlin Samuelson at the 4.
Clark.
Upon entering the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was immediately on the radar as a potential Rookie of the Year candidate. Her game translated seamlessly to the professional level, where she continued to amaze with her offensive prowess. Clark's ability to shoot from deep, combined with her playmaking and fearlessness on the court, made her an instant star. Her rookie season saw her setting records, making her a strong contender for Rookie of the Year, a prediction that many pundits and fans alike shared.
Clark gets away with a little push, fall away, buries it. And a little reaction.
On the other side of the story is Chennedy Carter, a player who had a promising rise in the WNBA. Carter, drafted 4th overall by the Atlanta Dream in 2020, quickly established herself as a dynamic scorer and playmaker. Her aggressive style of play and confidence in taking big shots earned her respect within the league. She was a standout player in college at Texas A&M, where she was known for her clutch performances and was a 3-time All-American.
Great job of coming up with that loose ball and converting. 6 seconds to go, opening quarter. Chennedy Carter, crossover to the rim.
However, Carter's time in the WNBA has been marked by both brilliance and controversy. While her talent is undeniable, she has also faced criticism for her attitude on and off the court. There have been reports of clashes with teammates and coaching staff, which have sometimes overshadowed her performances. Her competitive nature, while a strength on the court, has also led to some difficult situations, particularly when things don't go her way.
You a little bit?
Yeah.
After
I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough. We're good.
Carter, like many in the league, likely saw herself as a contender for Rookie of the Year when she entered the WNBA. With her impressive resume, it's easy to understand why she might have felt entitled to such recognition. However, when Caitlin Clark began dominating headlines and ultimately took home the award, Carter's reaction was far from gracious.
Here at Wintrust. Leads back up to double figures. How about Carter? Leaving everyone in her toss.
The WNBA Rookie of the Year award is one of the most prestigious honors a young player can earn. It signifies not only individual success, but also a promising future in the league. Caitlin Clark's selection for this award, along with being named to the All-WNBA First Team, was a testament to her impact in her first season. Her shooting, court vision, and leadership were all factors in her earning these honors.
Now you're seeing Caitlin Clark. And for everybody who talked about, she's just a shooter, she's already set the all-time rookie.
The announcement of Clark's accolades was met with widespread approval from fans, coaches, and players alike. Her stats backed up the decision. She averaged over 20 points per game and had several standout performances, including game-winning shots and record-setting moments. Clark was not just a scorer, but a leader on the floor, making her an obvious choice for these accolades. While most players in the WNBA were quick to congratulate Caitlin Clark for her achievements, Chennedy Carter's response was quite the opposite. As the news broke, Carter took to social media, posting cryptic messages and expressing clear frustration. It didn't take long for fans and analysts to realize that her posts were directed at Clark's accolades.
After this controversial foul on Caitlin Clark.
Unnecessary.
Clark's Indiana Fever taking on the Chicago Sky on Saturday. The Sky's Chennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday upgraded the call to a flagrant foul.
Carter's tantrum wasn't just confined to social media, though. According to reports from inside the locker room, Carter expressed her anger to teammates and coaches, questioning why she wasn't the one being recognized. Her competitive nature, which had served her well on the court, seemed to boil over into a display of entitlement and frustration. This outburst reportedly created tension within her team, and some players were said to have been uncomfortable with the way Carter handled the situation. In the age of social media, Carter's reaction quickly went viral, with fans weighing in on both sides. Some sympathized with Carter, understanding her frustration as a young player trying to establish herself in a competitive league. Others, however, criticized her for not showing sportsmanship and for failing to celebrate another player's success.
Happened between the last game and today is our growth. We went to film today, we locked in, we seen the good things we did, we also seen the mistakes we made, and we're just trying to...
Carter's outburst did not go unnoticed by the WNBA or by the basketball community at large. Many fans and analysts criticized her behavior, calling it unprofessional and unsportsmanlike. While it's common for athletes to feel disappointed when they miss out on awards or recognition, Carter's public display of frustration was seen as crossing a line. On social media, fans debated the situation. Some defended Carter, arguing that her passion for the game and competitive drive were what made her a great player. They suggested that her reaction, while perhaps not ideal, was understandable given the stakes. Others, however, felt that Carter needed to learn how to handle such disappointments with more grace and maturity.
Move to what a move, Chennedy Carter!
The WNBA itself did not officially comment on Carter's behavior, but it was clear that the league was closely monitoring the situation. Carter's team, the Atlanta Dream, was also reportedly concerned about the impact her outburst could have on team chemistry moving forward. Carter's reaction to Caitlin Clark's accolades brings up a broader discussion about the pressures faced by young stars in the WNBA. The league is highly competitive, and for players like Carter, who are seen as the future of the league, the expectations can be overwhelming. Every player wants to be recognized for their contributions, and when that recognition doesn't come, it can lead to frustration and disappointment.
For my teammates, and if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of...
The WNBA is also a league where players are constantly compared to one another, and the media plays a significant role in shaping public perception. In this case, Carter may have felt overshadowed by the attention and praise Clark was receiving, which likely contributed to her reaction. It's a reminder that while these athletes may be stars on the court, they are also human and deal with the same emotions and insecurities as anyone else.
Good to get my feet wet, to be back in the WNBA. I think that Saturday I'm going to play with more energy, more tempo, and I'm for sure gonna...
While Chennedy Carter was making headlines for her outburst, Caitlin Clark remained focused on her game. When asked about Carter's reaction during an interview, Clark handled the situation with poise and maturity. She expressed her gratitude for the recognition she received and made it clear that she respected all of her peers in the WNBA. Clark's response earned her even more admiration from fans and analysts. Her ability to rise above the drama and remain focused on her goals further solidified her status as one of the league's brightest young stars. For Clark, the accolades were a validation of her hard work, but they didn't define her. Her goal was always to help her team win and to continue growing as a player.
Nice. Boy, Enrique gave it to McCowan, who couldn't finish behind the back.
In the wake of her outburst, Chennedy Carter faces a critical moment in her career. While her talent is undeniable, her behavior has raised questions about her maturity and ability to handle the pressures of professional basketball. Moving forward, Carter will need to focus on improving not only her game, but also her attitude and professionalism. There is no doubt that Carter has the potential to be one of the best players in the WNBA, but she will need to channel her competitive drive in a way that benefits both herself and her team. Learning how to deal with disappointment and how to celebrate the success of others are important lessons for any athlete, and Carter has the opportunity to grow from this experience.
Muscles are way up. The and one.
Carter's reaction also illuminates the way women's sports are covered in the media. While male athletes often receive praise for their passion and competitiveness, female athletes are sometimes criticized more harshly for similar behavior. This double standard can make it even more difficult for players like Carter to navigate the pressures of professional sports. It's important to recognize that the media plays a role in shaping the narrative around these players, and that the narrative can sometimes be unfair or overly critical. While Carter's reaction may not have been ideal, it's worth considering how much of the public backlash was influenced by the way her story was covered.
Just respond, calm down, let your play do the talking. It is what it is. It's a physical game. Go make the free throw and then execute on offense.
Caitlin Clark's achievements as the WNBA's Rookie of the Year and her place on the All-WNBA First Team are well-deserved accolades that highlight her immense talent and hard work. Her success, however, sparked a dramatic reaction from Chennedy Carter, whose public display of frustration garnered widespread attention.
Clark over Horston, hits a three!
While Carter's outburst may have been a misstep, it also serves as a reminder of the intense pressure faced by young athletes in the WNBA. As both Clark and Carter continue their careers, the lessons learned from this. In the end, both players are part of the next generation of WNBA stars, and their stories will continue to captivate fans and inspire the next wave of athletes.
Imagine an incredible event that shocks the very basis of women's basketball. It's a moment that has the whole WNBA on edge. Now imagine this. Caitlin Clark, the rising star who has taken the basketball world by storm, is in the thick of it all. She's recognized for her amazing shooting range, bold leadership on the floor, and unrivaled basketball IQ. But what if I told you that something really startling occurred, and the Indiana Fever delivered a bombshell that sent shockwaves across the WNBA?
Select Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa.
Yes, you heard it correctly. Caitlin Clark, a player comparable to Stephen Curry for her deep-range shooting and playmaking talents, recently went through an unexpected event. The Indiana Fever, a club renowned for its rebuilding efforts, has made a surprising move involving Clark, which is upending the WNBA world. What precisely is the bombshell? What impact did it have on Caitlin Clark's career, as well as the whole league? Let's plunge in and discover this surprising discovery.
The podium, she is officially a member of the Indiana Fever after has decorated a collegiate career as we...
Before we get to the shocking news, let's examine how Caitlin Clark rose to become one of basketball's best-known players.
You come in and drop 35 points. What was different for you today?
Once you see the ball go through the basket a little bit, like I still had a few in and outs, I'm like, man, how's it not going?
Caitlin Clark's rise to basketball superstardom began long before she was in the WNBA limelight. Clark, who was born and reared in West Des Moines, Iowa, rapidly established herself as one of the country's leading high school basketball scorers. Her skill was evident from an early age, and her competitive nature motivated her to push the limits on the court.
Here's Clark with it. Bentley inside against the taller Mercedes Russell, and still...
Clark's choice to play collegiate basketball with the Iowa Hawkeyes would permanently alter her professional direction. She made an instant impression on the college basketball scene. Caitlin Clark immediately rose to prominence in the world of women's basketball after leading the country in scoring, assists, and three-pointers while at Iowa. Her long-range shooting, ball-handling abilities, and court vision drew comparisons to NBA luminaries such as Stephen Curry.
Second, because she got 2 in the first quarter against Connecticut.
However, Caitlin Clark's focus was on more than just individual statistics. She has an unparalleled desire to win and improve her team. Throughout her undergraduate career, she guided Iowa to multiple wins and received various awards, including All-American and Player of the Year nods. By the time she declared for the WNBA draft, she was widely regarded as one of the most promising prospects in recent memory.
Back Bentley. Here's Clark, a good look from 3. She got it! The first three.
On the other side of the equation is the Indiana Fever, who has been working hard to rebuild its squad and return to postseason contention. The Indiana Fever has a rich history, but in recent years, the club has battled to regain its foothold. Following their WNBA title in 2012, the Fever had many seasons of transition, including roster changes, coaching changes, and a lack of consistent success on the floor. The squad fell to the bottom of the rankings, leaving fans and observers wondering how long it would take to turn things around. In recent seasons, however, the Fever have prioritized rebuilding via the draft and player development. With youthful talent and fresh leadership, the franchise has been attempting to lay the groundwork for future success. However, rebuilding in professional sports takes time, and the Fever realized they needed to make a bold move to speed their recovery.
Defensive Player of the Year, former MVP, leading the way for her team. Katie Douglas, remember, out with the sprained ankle, but Minnesota, they are...
Let's get to the core of the matter, the bombshell that shook the WNBA and the Indiana Fever's jaw-dropping action concerning Caitlin Clark. Following the completion of the WNBA draft, rumors circulated across the league about clubs making aggressive trade proposals and franchise-altering decisions. But no one anticipated the Indiana Fever to make one of the most significant transactions of the offseason, one involving Caitlin Clark.
Gave us a taste of where we wanted to be, and that's exactly the message that Chrissy iterated throughout the locker room, and that our coaches kind of iterated when they talked.
In an unexpected turn of events, the Indiana Fever made a trade proposal that astonished the league. The Fever, desperate to expedite their rebuilding process, allegedly offered a massive sum to obtain Caitlin Clark's WNBA draft rights. While Clark had yet to formally declare for the draft, her impending arrival in the league had every club scurrying to make their case.
The WNBA draft is this Monday, and Iowa star Caitlin Clark is expected to be the #1 pick. Here to comment is Caitlin Clark.
According to reports, the Fever's trade offer included numerous high-profile players, future draft selections, and even a large sum of money. The Fever's management staff anticipated that acquiring a generational talent such as Caitlin Clark would quickly convert their team into a playoff contender. Clark's ability to score from wherever on the floor, along with her leadership, might be the missing element the Fever needs to alter the course of their franchise.
Last night, what was going through your mind?
Honestly, I think it's super special, and sitting at the table, kind of obviously knowing where I'm going, you still get a little bit anxious when the commissioner walks out. And
the audacity of the offer caught the whole WNBA off guard. Teams throughout the league were taken aback, and fans couldn't believe such a large transaction was in the works. As a word of Indiana Fever's shocking action circulated, the WNBA world was stunned. Players, coaches, and commentators all discussed the possible consequences of this game-changing decision.
This year, the stakes are high yet again, with the Fever drafting Caitlin Clark as their first.
For other clubs, the prospect of the Fever obtaining Caitlin Clark was daunting. Clark's unique skill set made her a player capable of changing the WNBA's power dynamic on her own. Teams who had previously dominated anticipated that a rising Indiana Fever side coached by Clark would pose a substantial challenge to their position at the top. Several WNBA players resorted to social media to express their feelings. Some were excited about Caitlin Clark entering the league and boosting the competition. Others voiced alarm over the Fever's daring decision, questioning whether it would result in a new WNBA super team.
Grateful and lucky to have my family here, with my friends over there, coaches up here, so I think just enjoying the moment. Like you said, I've dreamed of this moment since I was in second.
Fans too were split. Fever fans were ecstatic at the prospect of Clark joining their squad, thinking it would finally put a stop to the years of hardship. Meanwhile, supporters from other clubs were less excited, concerned that their teams might miss out on the opportunity to pick or trade for Clark. But what did Caitlin Clark say about all of this? After all, she was the driving force behind this seismic transformation in the WNBA.
I think the biggest thing is I always just believed in myself. I went to Iowa with the goal of taking us to the Final Four. We did it twice. We went to 2 national championships.
Caitlin Clark stayed unexpectedly quiet as rumors spread and the media frenzy increased. The generally loud and confident athlete seemed to be taking her time processing the situation. Some assumed that Clark was contemplating her choices and deciding if the Indiana Fever was the best match for her career. Others questioned whether she had been taken off guard by the Fever's daring move. Clark kept her remarks to the press minimal, stating just, "I'm focused on improving my game and preparing for the next stage of my basketball journey. The rest will take care of itself." While her reaction did not reveal much, it simply contributed to the rumors about her prospective transfer to the WNBA and the Indiana Fever.
It instilled confidence in me from a young age when I was a young girl, and I think that's something a lot of young girls can learn to have, and I think people...
Indiana Fever's decision to pursue Caitlin Clark was not a whim. It was a planned decision that was consistent with the team's long-term success strategy. For years, the Fever had been looking for a franchise player, someone who could lead the club on the court while elevating the whole organization. They recognized Caitlin Clark as a player who might become the franchise's face in the coming years. Her star power, mixed with her evident skill, made her the perfect choice to restore the Fever to prominence.
It just kind of speaks to the physicality of the league. It's just, she kind of got me in the right spot.
You smiled when you told that story. Good, clean basketball play.
Furthermore, the Fever's front staff understood that the window for rebuilding in professional sports might be limited. While their squad had some youthful potential, they recognized they needed a key player to help them improve. By making a big move for Caitlin Clark, the Fever demonstrated to the league that they were serious about being a contender again. If the Indiana Fever's plan to acquire Caitlin Clark goes through, the WNBA landscape might shift overnight. Clark's presence on the Fever would not only increase their chances of reaching the playoffs, but it would also have an impact on the rest of the league. Teams who had traditionally ruled the WNBA would confront new levels of competition, as the Fever would pose a danger to their title chances.
Bit more condensed. Good turnover for rookies like Clark, and she weaves her way inside, caught it in the foul.
Furthermore, Clark's entrance into the WNBA may herald a new age of competitiveness and excitement for the league, with growing players like Sabrina Ionescu, Aja Wilson, and now maybe Caitlin Clark. The WNBA would have a lot of talent to bring even more fans and attention to the sport. It remains to be seen if Caitlin Clark will eventually sign with the Indiana Fever. The shocking revelation has undoubtedly set the scene for an entertaining offseason in the WNBA, with fans anxiously anticipating the next chapter in this growing story.
Thinking about a bomb, the hesitation, the take, the lead, Reese the lay, Clark to Reese.
Clark's choice might be career-defining. Does she regard the Fever as the best squad to help her realize her greatest potential? Or will another club come in with an offer she can't turn down? Only time will tell. The Indiana Fever's shocking action against Caitlin Clark has surely rocked the WNBA to its core. As the league gears up for the upcoming season, all eyes will be on Clark and the Fever to see what happens next. One thing is certain, the WNBA's future has just begun.
It's my coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you, so seriously, I mean that, and I thank you, and this is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports.
Stay tuned for more information on this developing story. The WNBA is evolving before our eyes, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of it all. You won't believe it. Caitlin Clark, the greatest star in women's basketball, is sitting at home while the WNBA playoffs proceed without her. Was this an error that might undermine the WNBA's credibility? Fans are upset, players are speaking out, and the league is experiencing a crisis like never before. Here's why the WNBA may be regretting the choice that kept its star on the bench, and why this might be the league's worst misstep ever.
Caitlin, what value do you feel like you and this team got out of the playoff experience, and what did it to you reveal that you guys need in the future?
The 2024 WNBA season was one of the most eagerly anticipated in recent memory, thanks in large part to Iowa star Caitlin Clark's debut season. After an outstanding collegiate season, Clark had fans riveted to the screen, anticipating her to lead her team far into the WNBA playoffs. Instead, the WNBA playoffs continue without her, and fans are enraged.
Big time shot. Doesn't get better than that.
Becomes the first rookie with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a playoff.
Caitlin Clark's early departure from the playoffs triggered a flood of responses on social media and sports channels. Many think the WNBA needed to properly capitalize on her star power, raising concerns about the league's decision-making and marketing strategies. Did the WNBA make a huge error by not assuring one of its best performers could shine on the largest stage?
I feel like I had a solid year, but for me, the fun part is, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm one that's nitpicking every single thing.
Caitlin Clark's playoff departure was more than just a surprise for fans. It dealt a significant blow to the WNBA. Clark was anticipated to be the league's face, attracting new fans and instilling enthusiasm for women's basketball. Instead of gaining traction with Clark's high-energy performances, the WNBA is facing a barrage of criticism for how this season occurred.
The locker room after the game ended, where
obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome. I think it gave us a take.
Caitlin Clark's jaw-dropping three-pointers and passionate rivalries provided the WNBA with the much-needed excitement to raise its prominence. With her at home, the league missed out on several marketing chances. Big stars like Clark boost viewership, item sales, and general fan involvement. Her absence during the playoffs seemed like a squandered opportunity to take the WNBA to new heights.
Back, one of the best three-point shooters in the league.
And under 20 seconds left, last chance for the Fever. Clark can't get it to go, and Clark and the Fever see.
The WNBA has traditionally had lower viewership than other major leagues. Caitlin Clark's presence on the court represented a ray of optimism as her spectacular performances continually drew greater crowds. Without her in the playoffs, TV ratings have struggled to maintain the same level of excitement, leaving viewers dissatisfied with watching unfamiliar teams and individuals. While the WNBA continues to showcase its exceptional players, others claim that the league's failure to promote its stars adequately contributes to the issue. Caitlin Clark has the potential to become a crossover superstar, akin to what LeBron James and Stephen Curry have accomplished for the NBA, but the league needed to prepare for the kind of enthusiasm she brought, and now their lack of forethought might cost them dearly.
Banner year for Caitlin Clark in her rookie season, and she set records along the way. First, the rookie marks: most points, assists, first rookie.
Following Clark's departure, many supporters believed that she received little media attention or league promotion. While the WNBA featured Clark throughout the season, many believed the league needed to capitalize on her star power and marketing initiatives properly. Critics claimed that the WNBA should have capitalized on Caitlin Clark's popularity sooner, generating discussion about her playoff run long before it ended. One big challenge with the WNBA's marketing is the inability to generate captivating tales about its players. Caitlin Clark isn't simply an athlete, she's a storyteller. Her feisty nature, her bouts with elite opponents, and her underdog trek in Iowa might all have been part of a larger story to fascinate viewers. Instead, it seems like the league is wasting an opportunity to convey these tales and attract people further into the sport.
Entry. Caitlin played in 21 games this season that had at least 1 million viewers, adding to a level of excitement the league has continued to.
The fans should have noticed the error. Social media was inundated with comments and conversations regarding Caitlin Clark's omission from the playoffs, which seemed disappointing. Many people have expressed their dissatisfaction, with some even labeling the WNBA a clown show for how they handled the season. Twitter, Instagram, and even Reddit erupted with commentary. Fans were quick to point out that the league had the option to make Caitlin Clark the center of attention throughout the playoffs, but instead, she is sitting at home. Some fans have gone so far as to suggest they are tuning out of the playoffs because the games lack the thrill that Clark provided.
For years to come, because she has been the most impactful player that the W has seen in a generation. What she's doing both on and off.
The word clown show began to spread about the WNBA across several channels. Fans were disappointed that the league did not make a greater effort to promote Clark's possible postseason influence, with many arguing that this was proof that the WNBA does not know how to manage its most valuable players. Fans believe the WNBA is failing to capitalize on star power, and Caitlin Clark's absence just adds to the frustration. The WNBA is concerned with more than simply fan responses. There is a significant financial component at work. Caitlin Clark's participation in the playoffs may have increased ticket sales, retail purchases, and potentially ad income for the league. Instead, the WNBA confronts a possible cash shortage as its best player sits out.
We had arenas that were upgraded, arenas that fit maybe 8,000, selling out at 18,000 because Caitlin Clark was in town. Merchandise sold out as well.
With Clark out of the playoffs, several venues report decreasing attendance. Fans who were excited to see her perform live have lost interest, and ticket sales in major cities have declined. Caitlin Clark brought obvious enthusiasm to the court, and her absence has resulted in a more subdued playoff environment, both in person and on television.
I felt like we could have done a little bit more to help it get back here for a game 3, and that's what really kind of stunk about the whole thing.
The WNBA may have suffered a setback in terms of merchandise. Caitlin Clark's rookie season jerseys and clothing flew off the shelves earlier this year, but now that she's no longer in the postseason picture, retail sales have slowed. Fans are less inclined to purchase merchandise when their favorite athlete is not in the limelight. A key source of contention in this topic is whether the WNBA's playoff system is to blame for Caitlin Clark's early departure. Some feel that the existing system needs to recognize elite potential, resulting in circumstances where talents like Clark are dismissed prematurely.
Well, what Caitlin has done has moved the needle forward, not just for herself, but the entire WNBA, and that absolutely is respected.
The current WNBA playoff structure has been criticized for being overly restrictive, causing elite players to lose out on deeper runs. Fans want to watch the finest players compete on the grandest platform, yet the structure often results in early departures for some of the league's top players, like Caitlin Clark. A more flexible or star-driven system may have kept guys like Clark in the limelight longer. Other professional sports leagues, such as the NBA, are designed to highlight stars throughout the playoffs. Fans of the WNBA are making parallels and wondering why the league isn't doing the same. While the league may claim that its system promotes justice, it is apparent that fans want to watch the best players compete on the greatest platform for as long as possible.
Header between the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun. What a game. Fever looking to stave off elimination on the road. And this is late in the fourth, 4:06.
Caitlin Clark's disappearance has elicited reactions beyond those of her followers. Players and coaches from throughout the WNBA have also shared their opinions on the matter, with some implying that the league squandered a significant opportunity. Several WNBA players have expressed their disappointment over Clark's absence from the playoffs, either quietly or explicitly. Some have noted that Caitlin Clark is the kind of player who elevates the game and draws attention to the league, and her playoff departure is a significant loss for the sport.
Fatigue set in, because I know Rebecca talked about it. Caitlin Clark looked exhausted in the fourth quarter. We talked about it here. Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, I think Clark played every minute of the game.
Coaches have also expressed their thoughts on the implications of Caitlin Clark's absence for the remainder of the season. Many think that although team success should always be prioritized, individual star power is critical to the league's growth. Some argue that if the WNBA wants to keep fans interested all year, it should reconsider its structure and marketing techniques. So what comes next for Caitlin Clark and the WNBA? This incident might serve as a learning opportunity for the league. The WNBA must figure out how to keep its stars front and center so that future seasons do not conclude with its most marketable players sitting at home.
She did everything that she could. The rookie had a phenomenal playoff, a phenomenal rookie season.
Yeah, those two played 40 minutes.
While Clark's debut season did not finish as many had planned, her future in the WNBA remains bright. As her game improves, she will undoubtedly return stronger and more motivated than ever to make a difference in the playoffs. The WNBA should use this as a wake-up call. Fans want to see great players in the playoffs, and if the league fails to adjust, it risks losing the attention it has fought so hard to get. Whether it's revamping the playoff system or spending more on player marketing, the WNBA has some significant choices in the coming years.
So that's what excites me the most. I feel like I can continue to get a lot better, and before we know it, I'm sure we'll all be back here and ready for the next year.
In the end, Caitlin Clark's absence from the playoffs has created a big hole. The WNBA had the potential to engage a broader audience and build its fandom, but instead, fans are left wondering whether the way the league handled this season was a mistake.
At the same time, that's what stinks about the season ending is I felt like we were really starting to find our groove and really play good basketball, and it feels like that's always kind of how your season.
The consequences of this decision might be long-lasting, not only for Caitlin Clark, but for the WNBA as a whole. As fans continue to express their dissatisfaction, only time will tell whether the WNBA will make the necessary reforms to prevent another clown show in future seasons. Consider this. Caitlin Clark, one of the most well-known names in women's basketball, is facing a major danger to her career. You definitely didn't see it coming, but what if one announcement could alter the course of history? This is precisely what occurred when Lin Dunn, a veteran of women's basketball and the current general manager of the Indiana Fever, made a surprising comment that shook the basketball world and jeopardized Caitlin Clark's career.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome.
In this screenplay, we'll examine Dunn's shocking declaration and its potential impact on one of basketball's brightest stars. We'll also examine why this news is so important, how Caitlin Clark got to where she is now, and what the future holds for her career.
Maybe 15.
Why that long?
I don't know. They make me pause. You know the league. You got to follow the directions.
When you see the fan engagement out there.
To comprehend the seriousness of the problem, you must first know who Lin Dunn is. Dunn is a highly recognized and important person in women's basketball. With a coaching career spanning 4 decades, Dunn has established himself as a pathfinder. She coached both collegiate and WNBA teams, most notably coaching the Indiana Fever to their first WNBA title in 2012.
For a little while. She's just changed the landscape of women's basketball. I mean, what she's done and the
Since retiring from coaching, Dunn has worked in the front office of the Indiana Fever, where her expertise and basketball knowledge continued to influence the league. She's a real pioneer, but no one expected Dunn, who has always advocated for new talent in the sport, to be behind a statement that might jeopardize Caitlin Clark's future.
She's coming to Indianapolis. She's going to be an integral part of the Indiana Fever, and I can't wait to see Boston and Mitchell and Clark.
Before we get into the news, it's important to understand who Caitlin Clark is and why her career is jeopardized. Caitlin Clark is more than simply a basketball player. She's a sensation. She has been smashing records since high school, attracting interest from elite institutions, and dominating the game with her amazing scoring skills. Clark rose to prominence while playing with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She soon rose to prominence as one of college basketball's top players thanks to her exceptional three-point shooting, court vision, and competitive attitude. Many pundits even named her a potential WNBA superstar, a generational talent capable of transcending the sport in the same way that Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi had.
Or just close more quickly.
Clark zips it in that Benlay finishes. What a dart.
Clark's on-court accomplishments are noteworthy. She was selected as a unanimous All-American and led the country in scoring on many occasions. The excitement around her WNBA potential was at an all-time high, and fans anxiously anticipated her professional debut.
Zibish hounding Clark. Clark, step back three.
Now, let's discuss the surprise announcement. Lin Dunn commented during a recent news conference that shook the basketball world. According to Dunn, the WNBA is experiencing significant structural and financial issues, and the league may be forced to reevaluate its operations in the coming years. Here's the kicker. Dunn said that the WNBA may have to temporarily stop or severely reduce its draft classes beginning in the 2025 season. This date is critical since Caitlin Clark is scheduled to declare for the WNBA draft at this time. If the draft class is increased or postponed, Clark's professional career chances may be better.
Man, how's it not going in? But I felt like I played a good game. My shot felt well. I thought we could have moved the ball a little bit better, but overall, I thought we played well. Our defense could have been a little bit better, especially.
But why would the WNBA do that? Dunn highlighted economic difficulties such as poor attendance, TV ratings, and the league's restricted income sources. Despite the rising popularity of women's basketball, the WNBA has suffered financially in contrast to the NBA. Dunn also cited rising compensation demands from both players and coaches, which have placed a further burden on the league's finances. Dunn's revelation implies that Caitlin Clark and many other excellent players like her may have to wait longer to reach the WNBA, if at all.
Being here is up there. Obviously, you walk around and you see so many tremendous players with their pictures, up on the wall, and to, be recognized.
The greatest immediate worry for Caitlin Clark and her admirers is how this declaration would affect her professional career. Clark has always had her sights set on the WNBA, and many expected her to declare for the draft as soon as she was eligible. The WNBA is the pinnacle of women's basketball, with the top players in the world showcasing their abilities.
Time is 6:50. Caitlin Clark is adding another award to her collection. Clark won the 93rd AAU Jamesy.
If the WNBA draft is decreased or postponed, Clark may find herself trapped in college for longer than intended, or worse, facing restricted chances to play professionally in the United States. While there are broad leagues that pay well and provide competitive play, the WNBA is a dream for many American players, including Clark. A setback on her journey to the league might reduce her visibility, decrease her marketability, and postpone her earning potential. Furthermore, basketball players have limited time to compete at their peak. A delayed debut in the WNBA might impact Clark's long-term reputation, particularly if she loses out on vital growth years against the world's greatest players. It also raises concerns about how she might prepare for an uncertain future.
Because we wanted to make your dream come true. You've made so many dreams come true. State Farm knew it had been some time since you'd seen by and like.
What options does Caitlin Clark have if the WNBA decides to downsize its draft class or postpone future drafts? Clark might choose to play in major leagues such as Spain, Turkey, and Russia. These leagues provide competitive basketball, and players often earn more than they do in the WNBA. However, playing overseas has its own set of problems, such as language hurdles, cultural differences, and separation from family and friends.
I am more.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Another option Clark may consider is boosting her presence off the court. With her personality and great basketball IQ, she might use her brand to get sponsorship agreements or perhaps start a career in sports broadcasting. Given the internet age's rising platform for female athletes, Clark may capitalize on her present status. Given the NCAA's eligibility standards, Clark may potentially stay in college and continue to dominate the collegiate scene. However, this approach has a drawback. While it would enable her to continue playing and improving her skills, she would not be rewarded as she would in the WNBA or international leagues. Despite the development of NIL, name, image, likeness, partnerships, which enable collegiate players to earn from sponsorships, their pay is different from that of a professional athlete.
You see her family there. One of her brothers is away from school for this.
I think this is a good excuse to miss school.
Lin Dunn's declaration prompted a whirlwind of responses, notably among Caitlin Clark's fans. Many fans are upset, accusing the WNBA of not supporting its future stars. Basketball fans have flooded social media networks with postings, fearing that the league's decision. Some argue that Dunn's comment is a vital wake-up call. They claim that the WNBA has been too liberal in dealing with its financial issues, and that tough choices must be made if the league is to continue. These supporters believe that although it is bad for players like Caitlin Clark, it is more crucial to safeguard the WNBA's survival for future generations. So what does the future hold for the WNBA? While Lin Dunn's declaration is troubling, it's vital to remember that the league will not dissolve suddenly. The WNBA has made great progress in recent years thanks to increasing media coverage and social media involvement. However, the league needs a more sustainable funding strategy to guarantee long-term success.
God, thanks for being here.
Hey, this is special.
Oh my God.
How does it feel to have?
I still feel like I was this tall and freaking out, and I ran across the.
This circumstance has revived discussions about how the WNBA might expand its fan base and increase income. Suggestions include expanding ties with prominent businesses to gain larger sponsorship arrangements, increasing the league's media footprint with improved broadcast contracts and streaming alternatives, building better youth programs to cultivate a more devoted fan base from a young age. The WNBA has a lot of promise, and with careful financial planning and creativity, it can transform its present issues into chances for development.
My coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you. So seriously, I mean that, and I thank you. And this is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports.
How has Caitlin Clark handled all of this? While Clark has not issued an official remark about Lin Dunn's announcement, there is little doubt that she is carefully following the situation. Clark, known for her ferocious competition and perseverance, is most certainly carefully considering her alternatives. Insiders say Clark remains positive, concentrating on her current college season while considering backup plans in case the WNBA draft scenario does not improve. She has already indicated an interest in playing abroad if necessary, but her ultimate objective is to make an impact in the WNBA.
I actually grew up playing with the boys. That's all I knew until I was in about 4th grade. So I give that a lot of credit for the person I am today, but also the player kind of pushed.
We must consider the larger implications of this news for women's basketball. Caitlin Clark is just one of many excellent athletes who this decision may impact. This scenario raises serious concerns about the sport's future and whether enough support is being provided for women's professional basketball. The success of athletes like Clark is critical to the continuing development of women's basketball. If great athletes are discouraged from playing in the WNBA due to financial difficulties or limited possibilities, the sport may suffer for years. This might impact the league's capacity to recruit future stars, limiting its marketability and profitability.
My parents are here tonight over here. My dad was actually my first ever AAU basketball coach, so this is kind of a full circle moment, and I grew up playing a lot of it.
Finally, Lin Dunn's startling remark has surely caused Caitlin Clark and the whole basketball community face a storm of uncertainty. While the future remains uncertain, one thing is certain. This event marks a watershed moment for the WNBA and women's basketball in general.
Biting my tongue, following the rules, but you know, for some time now we've had our her penciled in as our #1 pick, but we didn't want to let the cat out of the box.
The following steps will be critical for Caitlin Clark. Whether she continues to dominate in college, takes her skills abroad, or waits for the WNBA situation to stabilize, her perseverance and basketball IQ will undoubtedly put her in the running as one of the sport's top young prospects. Let's hope that whatever happens next isn't the end of Caitlin Clark's career, but rather the start of something even more intriguing.